But the other big news yesterday was Raelene Castle.
Yes.
Has left the Dogs. And to find out the story behind the story, because there is always a story behind the story when it comes to rugby league. We've got Danny Weilder from 9 News. And Danny, were you surprised with the news yesterday around Raelene?
Morning, gents and Emma. Look, I not overly. I wrote about this several weeks ago in my column that Raelene was basically, have a person without much power there anymore.
Yep.
And look, that's disrespectful to Raelene, given her background as a very good administrator, a very competent one, and an administrator with a fair degree of compassion as well. The last actual official duty Raelene had before she resigned was publicly having to explain the Will Hopewate exit, where he chose the Dogs over, God over the Dogs, dog over the gods. That whole situation where he had to give up on his religious beliefs to play Sunday football. Now, that in the business, that was a sandwich that had a bit of smell about it, to have to deliver that, for such a fine young man, who had made a firm decision and was of a belief, but she was the one who had to front that and be the public face of that for the club. And you could tell then that, I could tell, I was standing next to her, I could tell she wasn't comfortable with that situation at all.
Yep.
But where things had gone wrong privately, there's been a lot of talk about an email she had to send, which half had a shot at Ray Dibb, the chairman of the club. But the signing of Aidan Tolman was a very one that was looked upon badly by the Bulldogs. The amount of money that he was signed for and the length of deal, and that is a deal that is causing significant problems now for the Dogs as they struggle with the salary cap. That hasn't really been mentioned publicly before, but that is a deal that has caused a significant amount of angst. Whilst it was done with approval, it's a deal that is causing a problem for the Dogs, because at the core of all the issues is a football issue. The Dogs, they won't like me saying it, but they're close to. They've got to get rid of close to $1 million worth of talent still to be cap compliant, and that's causing major problems. Another problem for Raelene, she won't like me saying this, was the Andrew Fafita deal that went wrong.
Right.
He was due to be at that club, and there was a memorandum of understanding that was signed that caused a lot of public embarrassment for the Dogs. I had a major dispute with Raelene about that whole issue. I think we've patched it up, but that was poorly handled, and that probably hurt her to a degree. But I think that generally the whole issue with Ray Dibb wanting to be the power force at that club is the reason that she's not there.
It's a constant battle between the chairperson and the CEO in clubland, Danny. Who do you think should really hold the power when it comes to administrating a club? Because from what we can see, it's often the chairman, but the CEO is the one having to make the tough decisions.
They've got to stand at the press conference.
And they've got to stand there and do all the work.
Yeah, the CEO's got the job of delivering bad news. The chairman gets the plaudits and the good news a lot of the time. But in this, the way the rugby league's going, it's the chairman who have the power. You look at the CEOs, particularly in Sydney. I mean, you've got Peter Dowse, who's been around for a long time, but the Dragons have just put a very good person there, Brian Johnson, as chairman. And I think as he gets more into that job, he'll become the power force there. Lyle Gorman at Cronulla obviously is filling a very important role at the moment with Damien Keogh gone. And I think that he's got quite a big profile. Apart from that, Castle was the next big one. But I think that it's the chairman now who absolutely make the big decisions and are the ones running around with a big stick.
Danny, in the 80s, they used to call those great Warren Ryan sides at Canterbury the Dogs of War. Won plenty of grand finals on their physicality and their robust nature. And, mate, you could almost call the Dogs board the Dogs of War because, mate, there's some pretty powerful characters on there and they generally get what they want. Who's going to be strong enough, do you think, to go in as CEO of the Bulldogs and be able to withstand that?
Well, I don't think they're going to. I'd be surprised if they select a strong CEO.
Right.
They need someone to walk over.
I think you're right, Emma. I think look, they've got an election coming up. That's what this is all about as well in February. Ray Dibb wants to maintain his power. I don't know what the thrill of it all is. I don't know why they like having this power. Some chairmen are in it for the good of the team. I don't know whether all of the chairmen have their teams as their priority. I think that there's ego involved. I'm not saying that necessarily about Dibb, but I just think that I think they want a CEO who might be less strong than Raelene. Now, I know that Raelene Castle's got a lot of respect within the NRL, and they were very aware of the difficulties that she was having with Ray Dibb because they are having similar problems with Ray Dibb. Now, Dibb, I'm sure, will argue that he's doing the best by his club and that he will continue to do so, and he's landed some particularly good signings. He was very responsible for Aaron Woods joining the club.
Yep.
And I mean, he and Des, and to a lesser extent Raelene, were very responsible for Kieran Foran. But they're also responsible for the salary cap mess that they've got to sort out.
Yeah, right.